All right, let's kick things off with a pretty bold claim. You might want to stop using one of the most popular trading indicators out there, the Stochastic RSI. Why? Well, because we're going to dive into a tool that our source material says is 10 times better for nailing those market reversals. Let's see if it actually lives up to the hype. On steroids, I mean, that's a heck of a statement, right? It gets right to the heart of what we as traders are always looking for, a way to cut through all the noise and see what momentum is really doing. The promise here is simple: more accuracy, which hopefully leads to better, more confident trades. So, what is this thing anyway? And how does it supposedly run circles around an indicator that so many people use every single day? That's the big question we're going to tackle. Let's break it all down. Okay, before we jump to the solution, we've got to understand the problem we're trying to solve. The stochastic RSI is super popular, for sure, but it has some, let's say, quirks that can lead to some really costly mistakes. Let's take a look at why. Here it is, the main issue. The stochastic RSI is just incredibly sensitive. Now, that might sound like a good thing, but in practice, it often overreacts to every tiny little price move, what we call market noise. The result, you get this super choppy indicator that's constantly screaming, buy, sell, buy, and it becomes almost impossible to tell what's a real signal and what's just static. So if the old tool is just too noisy, what's the fix? Well, this is where the Stochastic Momentum Index, or SMI, comes into play. This is the indicator that our source material called the stochastic on steroids, and it was built specifically to solve that noise problem. You can think of the SMI as an evolution of the old stochastic. It's got a really crucial difference, though. Instead of just looking at where the price closed relative to the low, it measures the close against the midpoint of the high-low range. Now, that sounds like a tiny change, right? But that one little tweak has a massive impact, creating a signal that's so much smoother and way more reliable. And here's the difference in a nutshell. While the stochastic RSI is all over the place, just noisy and erratic, the SMI is smooth. Where the old indicator can lag behind big moves, the SMI is designed to be way more responsive to the shifts that actually matter while filtering out all the junk. It really is a clear upgrade. But you know how it is. An indicator is just a tool. It's only as good as the strategy you wrap around it. So, how do we actually use the SMI to make money? The source material lays out a very specific plan called the Cloud Trading Strategy, and it combines the power of the SMI with good old-fashioned price action. Now, before we even think about a signal, we need context. We need to know who's in control of the market. And that's where the EMA Trend Cloud comes in. All you do is put a 50-period and a 200-period EMA on your chart. That space between them, that's the cloud. And in a healthy uptrend, this cloud acts like a dynamic zone of support. And that's exactly where we're going to be hunting for our trades. Okay, here's the whole playbook in 3 simple steps. First, we need a solid uptrend. How do we know? Price is trading above our cloud. Easy. Step 2, and this is super important. We don't chase. We wait patiently for the price to pull back into that cloud. And third, that's when we look down at our SMI for the trigger, the white line crossing up over the red signal line. Trend, pullback, signal. That's the whole sequence. Let's just zero in on step 2 for a second, because patience really is what separates the pros from the amateurs. According to this strategy, the absolute best, highest probability trades happen when price dips into this cloud. Just think of it like a value zone, right? It's an area where all the buyers who missed the first move are waiting to jump in and keep that trend going. And this is the magic moment. This is our entry signal. It's all about that perfect combination of location and timing. Price is in the right location, that EMA cloud, and the SMI gives us the perfect timing. That crossover tells us that the selling pressure is dying out and the buyers are taking back control. That is our green light to get in. So, let's put it all together. This isn't just about some shiny new indicator. It's about combining the context you get from the trend cloud with a super precise signal from the SMI. When you put them together, you create a high probability setup. And that, my friends, is how you build a real trading edge. And to make this as mechanical and emotion-free as possible, here's a simple little checklist. Before you even think about putting on a trade, you just ask yourself these 3 questions. If you get a yes on all 3, you've got a valid signal. It's a fantastic, simple way to stay disciplined and keep your emotions out of the driver's seat. And if you take away just one thing from this, let it be this. Neither of these tools is a magic wand by itself. The real power, the real edge, comes from using them together. The EMA Cloud tells you where to look for a trade, and the SMI tells you when to pull the trigger.
They work as a team, and each one helps filter out the bad setups for the other.
So I'll just leave you with this thought. If you've ever been frustrated by false signals, if you've been chopped up by noisy indicators trying to trade pullbacks, could this be the edge you've been looking for? A smoother, more accurate momentum tool combined with crystal clear context. It's definitely a strategy worth taking a serious look at.